I'm calling to order this hearing. This is a public hearing of the Committee of the Whole of the Council of the District of Columbia. I am Phil Mendelson, Chair of the Council and Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. The time is 12:07 in the afternoon, and this hearing is being conducted somewhat virtually and somewhat in person in room 412 of the Johnny Wilson Building. There are two measures, legislative measures, that are the subject of today's hearing. The first is Bill 25-342, which is entitled the Public Charter School Board Term Clarification Amendment Act of 2023. It was introduced by me on June 13th of this year. And the stated purpose of this bill is to reduce confusion in the reappointment of public charter school board members. Appointees are term limited. Currently, it is unclear how a partial term affects the limitation. So this bill would clarify that, which is why it's called the Public Charter School Board Term Clarification Amendment Act. The second legislative measure is PR 25-300, entitled the Public Charter School Board Carissa Stanley Beatty Confirmation Resolution of 2023. This legislation was introduced at the request of the mayor on June 21st of this year. And the stated purpose of this, I hope this doesn't come as a surprise, is to confirm the appointment of Carissa Stanley Beatty to the Public Charter School Board. That's why it's called the Public Charter School Board Carissa Stanley Beatty Confirmation Resolution. The PCSB Public Charter School Board is an independent government agency of the District of Columbia, led by a volunteer 7-member board. As the sole public charter school authorizer in our nation's capital, the Public Charter School Board provides oversight to public charter schools, which are managed by independently run nonprofit organizations called local education agencies. The purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony from government and public witnesses, that is, any public witnesses who are interested in either of these legislative measures. It affords them an opportunity to testify and express to us their concerns, comments, views, etc. Let's see, I cut short this sentence. Purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony regarding Bill 25-342, the term clarification bill, and the fitness of Ms. Beatty for appointment to the Public Charter School Board. The record in this matter will be open for 2 weeks. That is, it will close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November 29th. So anyone who is testifying today wants to supplement their comments. Anyone who's not testifying today but wishes to comment on either measure has 2 weeks to do so, 5 p.m. November 29th. We have interesting. Give me just a second. Trying to sort out public witnesses versus government witnesses. So I'm going to call to either the witness table or virtual table, Robert Vincent Branham, Jessica Giles, Ms. Giles is the Executive Director of Education Reform Now, Leah Crucy, who is the Chair of the DC Public Charter School Board, and Erica Harrell, who is Executive Director of Elect Ed DC. I think one of these folks is here. Ms. Crucy. So you get to sit at the table. The other 3 people are virtual. And I think what I'm going to do is call the folks in order. So have a seat. And I will call you third. Mr. Branham, are you here? Yes. And you'll be followed by Ms. Giles. Mr. Branham. Who's not responding?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm off site, so I have to do this virtual. But
That's fine.
yes. Greetings and salutations. My name is Robert Vincent Branham, President Emeritus of the DC Federation of Civic Associations, former President of the Bloomingdale Civic Association, Chairman Emeritus of the 5th District Citizen Advisory Council, a large member of the Chief Citizen Advisory Council, and Chairman of the Ward 5 Leadership Council Public Safety Committee. I am pleased and enthused to come before the committee in strong support of the nomination of Ms. Carissa Stanley Beatty to the Public Charter School Board. In my conversations with Carissa, I have found her thoughtful and concerned for the educational advancement of district students and the involvement of parents in the policy direction of public education. I feel Ms. Beatty will help to bring the Public Charter School Board the needed and necessary oversight of the structure and management of the district public charter school system. I urge the committee to approve the nomination and ask the full council to confirm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Branham. I don't have a copy of your statement. If you could provide that.
I will, sir.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Giles.
Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson, members and staff of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Jessica Giles. I'm a Ward 7 resident and the Executive Director of Education Reform Now DC, a nonpartisan nonprofit organization fighting for a just and equitable public education system for all DC students. I am pleased to provide testimony on B25-342 and PR 25-300. As for B25-342, we are supportive of this legislation. The board plays a critical role in our public education ecosystem. They're the sole authorizer of 136 public charter schools run by 69 LEAs serving 46,392 students, and they provide an essential oversight function. Because the board consists of 7 volunteer members, it is crucial that there are no vacancies and that there is as much continuity in service as possible. This is in the best interest of our students. In regards to PR 25-300, we are also supportive. Ms. Carissa Stanley Beatty's personal and professional experiences and unwavering commitment to our students and families make her an excellent addition to the board. Ms. Stanley Beatty is a parent, a native Washingtonian, and a Ward 5 resident. She has more than 20 years of professional experience in banking and finance and a BS in business administration, enabling her to provide a valuable lens in the board's oversight role to help ensure public charter schools fulfill their fiduciary responsibilities to their students. More importantly, Ms. Stanley Beatty has a heart for service. During her professional career, Ms. Stanley Beatty created DC Open Doors, a program that offers qualified home buyers home purchase loans and down payment. This program has helped many individuals and families live in safe, affordable homes in the District of Columbia. Further, Ms. Stanley Beatty has been an essential leader in her community. She has served as the president of the Washington, D.C. chapter of the African American Real Estate Professionals and as a mayoral appointee to the Washington, D.C. Historic Preservation Review Board. Thank you so much for allowing me to testify on both of these pieces of legislation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. Ms. Crucy. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Leah Cruzy. I am Chair of the DC Public Charter School Board. I want to thank you for holding this hearing today and allowing me to testify in support of the nomination of Carissa Stanley Beatty. And I would like to thank Mayor Bowser for putting forward her nomination. I also want to take a moment to express my support for the board clarification legislation that will ensure our board members serve full terms. Carissa Stanley Beatty is a native Washingtonian and is no stranger to the challenges our students face. As a native Washingtonian, she brings longstanding knowledge about the districts, its families, and their needs. She has seen the evolution of education in the city and understands the need for choice among parents and families. In addition, as a mother of a DC public charter school student and Ward 5 parent leader of PAVE DC, she has direct experience navigating our education landscape. Ms. Stanley Beatty's professional experience will bring an important perspective to our board. In the past, she has served as Director of Single-Family Programs with DC Housing Finance Agency, and her work helping Washingtonians afford and keep their homes has positively impacted our community. She will also be able to bring her experience working with families to ensure their basic needs are met to the concerns we grapple with in our work on behalf of the public charter sector. Financial oversight is also a critical component of our board's work, and Ms. Stanley Beatty's past work experience will be an asset as our board ensures fiscal responsibility in the sector. If appointed, Carissa Stanley Beatty, I believe, will continue serving families in her community. Our mission, vision, and strategic roadmap put student success front and center, and I feel strongly that Ms. Stanley Beatty will help us continue to put students first as a board member. The board will hold important votes in the coming months, including modifications to our accountability system and finalize our charter goals policy. Carissa Stanley Beatty's experience and perspective will be crucial as we make these important decisions. For these reasons, I ask that you vote to confirm Carissa Stanley Beatty to the board. Thank you again for allowing me to testify before you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So your testimony is in support of both measures, but you're focusing primarily on the nomination.
That's right, but
Okay.
full-throated support for both measures.
Okay, thank you. Erica Harrell? You are muted.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson, staff, and members of the Committee on the Whole. My name is Erica Harrell. I am the Executive Director of Elected DC. Elected DC is an East of the River-based nonprofit organization focused on engaging community members to build political power, increase representation of historically marginalized communities from Ward 7 and Ward 8, and advocate for policies that will enable every DC student and their families to elevate, live and age in place, and not be subject to economic and social isolation. We believe that education can be a major avenue to economic stability and empowerment. For too long, children who live in low-income areas, regardless of their potential, face several barriers to quality education before they reach the schoolyard. Almost 60% of students living in Ward 7 and Ward 8 attend a public charter school, and many of them travel outside of their community to receive the education that meets their and their parents' needs. The current absenteeism challenges the education sector is facing, along with the citywide public safety crisis, means Ward 7 and Ward 8 students, who are the furthest from viable generation stabilizing opportunities, must overcome exceptional hurdles just to get the education that every student deserves. Based on Elected DC's most recent polling, there is a strong desire for East of the River school options to be improved. 55% say not enough are currently considered high quality. Most voters also say schools need strengthening to provide pathways to gainful employment and financial stability. Just 30% of respondents said they would be willing to send their own child to a school in Ward 7 or Ward 8. School safety and college preparation are highlighted as the top reasons for that low confidence. Going forward, we urge the Council to hold the Public Charter School Board accountable for ensuring equitable access to quality schools within Ward 7 and Ward 8 neighborhoods, and advocate for investments in our East of the River communities and schools. We look forward to continuing to work together on our shared priorities of creating economic empowerment through a strong public education system for all students, regardless of zip code. Thank you for your partnership in that work and your leadership for all district students and residents.
Thank you, Ms. Harrell. I don't have a copy of your statement. Can you provide that, please?
Yes, sir.
And I'm a little unclear. Are you testifying in support of the bill?
I am in support of the bill. I also wanted to raise the issues of why I think the bill needs to be supported.
That's fair. And are you supportive of the nominee, or you're only focused on the bill?
I'm supportive of the nominee. I think that she will do a good job as long as she makes sure that she's also considering these priorities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any further questions for any of you. Two of you will get us your statements, which we can then include in the record. So you're each excused, and I'm going to turn to Dr. Michelle Walker Davis, who I assume is talking about the bill, and Ms. Beatty, who I assume is going to talk about herself. Dr. Walker Davis, you want to start?
Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson and members and staff of the Committee of the Whole. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the nomination of Carissa Stanley Beatty and the Public Charter School Board Term Clarification Amendment Act of 2023. I am Dr. Michelle Walker Davis, Executive Director of the DC Public Charter School Board. I would like to start by thanking Mayor Bowser for nominating Ms. Stanley Beatty and expressing my support for her to join our board. She will bring a wealth of experience and important perspective to the board at a time when we will make critical decisions for our schools. Her perspective as a public charter school parent is particularly valuable. She has firsthand experience navigating our schools and can truly speak to how best to serve children and how parents make school choices for their families. In addition, DC PCSB expects fiscal responsibility from all public charter schools, and Ms. Stanley Beatty's multi-decade experience in finance will support our board with fiduciary oversight duties. Lastly, based on her advocacy work, I know she aligns deeply with our mission and vision and believes all students deserve an equitable and excellent education. I support her nomination and look forward to her serving if approved by this council. Now I will turn to the Public Charter School Board Term Clarification Amendment Act. We support the bill as it will streamline board nominations and allow us to continue working with strong and dedicated board members who have valuable institutional knowledge. Under the School Reform Act, DCPCSB board members may serve 2 four-year terms. However, when a board member onboards to finish a former member's term, that time, no matter how short, counts as their first term on the board. This means that in some cases, we may have a committed board member who can only serve a little over 4 years if they are renominated. It takes significant time and investment to fully understand our board's responsibilities, public charter LEAs, and how our sector functions. Losing a board member so soon means we lose institutional knowledge and critical experience, which informs decision-making. Thank you, Chairman Mendelson and the rest of the council for considering Carissa Stanley Beatty's nomination and this board clarification legislation. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Yes, please. Although you probably should turn your microphone on.
They warned me about that.
And you can pull the mic down a little bit. Beautiful.
Good.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Council of the District of Columbia. It's an honor to appear before you in support of my nomination to serve as a member of the District of Columbia's Public Charter School Board. I humbly thank the Honorable Mayor Muriel Bowser for the nomination and for her support. I also want to thank the steering committee of the Ward 5 Leadership Council for its support of my nomination. And I want to thank the people that have testified here today. My name is Carissa Stanley Beatty. I was born in Washington, D.C., and I chose to live, work, and raise a family here because of the richness of the district's history, culture, and communities. After graduating from college in North Carolina, I knew I wanted to return to the district to serve my community and build a career here in banking and finance. For more than 20 years, I've had the privilege of serving district residents, local businesses, private and public interests in rental housing and homeownership. My experience spans both public and private finance, including a 5-year tenure at the DC Housing Finance Agency, where I served the district and built one of the agency's most successful homeownership purchase programs, DC Open Doors. I currently serve as team leader for the Mid-Atlantic region for Amalgamated Bank, where I've been for almost 10 years focusing on the financing of local affordable housing for DC residents. Aside from my professional accomplishments, my greatest pride is that of being a wife, a mother, an active resident of Ward 5's North Michigan Park neighborhood. Education has long been a great equalizer, providing a pathway to opportunity for people who might have otherwise been relegated to an inferior existence because of gender, race, ethnicity, or even socioeconomic status. But for quality education and family support, I would likely not be sitting before this body today. because of education's ability to elevate children and young adults out of circumstances, allowing them a chance to realize their dreams, provide for their families, and contribute to their communities, it will always be a cornerstone of the American dream. My experience with the DC public school system starts with my 5-year-old son. Like many families, as our son was turning school age, my husband and I began making decisions on his behalf that would chart his educational course. In our journey, we were pleased to learn that the district's public school choice model allowed us to center the needs and desires of our son and our family in the school selection process. Our family is thankful for the option of choice in our son's education, and I believe that more access, not less, is a critical component of a quality public school education. I believe in and am an advocate for early literacy, having turned to the joy of books and reading to stimulate language in my own son, who experienced delayed speech. I also believe a quality public school education can and should prepare DC students for success in a global economy. Within the past year or so, I have had the joy and unique opportunity to meet and share stories with many Ward 5 parents, families, and students. I've learned about families' successes and challenges with navigating DC school system of choice, understanding IEPs, worries about student safety, out of school time funding, and formal avenues for parent input in the education process. I treasure my time with Ward 5 families, and it's taught me 3 things. First, that parents of school-age children are more alike than we are different. Most are working parents who want the best for our children, and our perspective on education is primarily informed by our own personal experiences. Second, most parents agree about the importance of equity in education, and that one child's quality education should not be at the expense of another. Lastly, most parents want a voice in the public school system and how it shapes their children's education. I will allow these 3 takeaways to center my work on the board if I am confirmed. I am aware and appreciative of the importance of the DC Public Charter Schools Board and its work. The board is the sole charter authorizer in the district, providing oversight to 135 schools that educate more than 45,000 students, which is nearly half of all DC public school students. My own son is included in that number. I believe my finance background and expertise, along with my community work and my lived experience as the parent of a DC charter school student, uniquely qualifies me to meet at least 2 of the required criteria for DC Public Charter School Board membership. If I am confirmed, one of the pieces of work I look most forward to contributing to is the board's strategic roadmap, which guides its actions as it relates to 3 strategic priorities: excellent schools, enduring partnerships, and effective organization. The strategic roadmap includes work that addresses the need for improved outcomes for all DC students, strengthen dialogue between families, community, and residents, and alignment of structures, processes, and culture, making conditions for student success possible. I stand firmly with the board in its mission that states, DC public charter schools are environments where all students, especially those in historically marginalized groups, thrive, and I would be humbled to serve as one of its members. Should my nomination be confirmed, I pledge to work with my fellow board members and with staff to address the needs and interests of DC families, DC students, and educators. I thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sorry. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony. Let me begin with Dr. Walker Davis. Can you give me some examples of board members whose terms ended earlier than otherwise because we didn't have this legislation?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So over the course of our existence, we've had 32 total members, starting in 1997 to present. 13 of those board members had incomplete first terms, so that's roughly 40%. 7 of those 13 had a first term that was less than 2 years. And we had 6 members that had a first term of a little bit over 2 years.
You said 7 with less than 2 years in their first
In
term.
that first term, which meant that they served, if they completed their second term, they would have served less than 6 years on the
Yeah.
board.
Okay, that's helpful. There's a current member who's up in February who would, so his first term was a partial term?
That is correct.
And remind me, how many vacancies do you have on the board right now? Assuming that Ms. Beatty is confirmed.
Yes. We would have 1 additional vacancy, and assuming that this is approved, Vice Chair Sandman and Board Member Shakura Adamofanian would be able to serve the additional term.
Yes.
So, but there's only 1 vacancy currently.
Yes, and Ms. Adamofanian was just reappointed.
Correct, but her first term was a partial term.
Yes.
So if this gets clarified, then she would have
Yes.
additional time.
And you see no problems with the legislation in terms of how it's drafted?
Correct. We appreciate how it is crafted to clarify those
Okay.
terms.
Sometimes the perspective from outside the council is helpful. So, thank you. Ms. Beatty, and your last name is pronounced Beatty?
It's Beatty, yes,
Okay. You're currently a member of the HPRB?
I am.
And so would you, and I think that board right now is struggling with a quorum.
It is.
So what's your intention? To step down now or step down when we get some nominees?
I've spoken to Moda about that. I know the step down is imminent. I'm happy to stay until they get nominees. But I understand the step down is imminent.
So I think I'm making a note here. We'll step down imminently, but may stay until nominees.
Happy to stay until nominees.
I've reached out to Moda about getting those seats filled.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that they are working arduously on this. In the pre-hearing questions that I sent you, I also asked about local political activity. Did you run for the state board?
I did.
Okay. Have you made contributions to any candidates over the last 5 years?
One comes to mind, and that should be noted.
It's not.
Okay.
Um,
Is that the disclosure?
yeah, I asked in the pre-hearing questions, please describe any local political activity you've engaged in over the last 5 years and itemize any campaign contributions. If you want to just send a supplemental on the answer on that,
I'm happy to do that. Yes.
Okay.
And I apologize for the oversight.
that's okay. I also asked, and I asked this in pre-hearing questions of every candidate, but I also asked at the hearings. Are you current in any taxes and liabilities owed to the district government, federal government, or any other state government?
Yes, sir.
And do you have the time to serve on the charter school board?
Yes, sir.
And you're pretty clear what you're getting into?
I'm excited about the challenge. Yes, sir. I'm clear about what
Okay.
I'm getting into. Obviously, the load will be better once the transition happens from the historic board, but yes.
And the third question I have is, do you perceive any possible conflict of interest that could come up? And I don't mean through your overall service on the charter school board, but that may come up during your service.
I am comfortable that I can appropriately govern myself in the face of any conflict of interest, although I don't see one that may present itself.
So your son's in a charter school.
Yes, sir.
So if that charter school was before the board for some reason, I assume you would first identify that.
Of course.
Second, follow advice of counsel. There is an attorney at the charter school board, right?
Yes, Chairman, that's correct. We do have a general counsel and we also have a recusal process that board and executive team participate in.
And then if you were advised to recuse yourself, you would recuse yourself on that.
Absolutely.
Let me see what other questions I have. Yeah, on that conflict of interest question, have you ever worked for a financial institution that loaned money to a charter school?
I work for a financial institution that has the ability to loan money to a charter school. In the history of the bank, we have never financed a charter school in DC.
Okay.
We have the ability to, but we never
All
have.
right, well, the ability is not a conflict, so. Do you have a sense of any challenges that the charter school board or charter sector has right now?
In terms of the
However you wanna-
governance or,
However you want to interpret that, any challenges you might see?
you know what, I'll answer that question as a parent and as a user of the system. In addition to what I highlighted in testimony in terms of what I would be excited to work on the strategic roadmap, I also would like to focus on parent engagement. As a user of the system, like I said, that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a challenge, but it's something that I'm passionate about.
Give me a second. Any other questions? I don't have any other questions for you. What we're going to try to do, the record closes November 29th. I'm going to try to present this to the council at our December, getting no help here, December 5th, whatever the first Tuesday is, legislative meeting. I don't think we'll have any additional questions. If we do, we'll let you know. The charter school legislation. Maybe by the 5th. If we have questions, we'll let you know. And again, if either of you want to submit anything additional, you have 2 weeks to do that. So Ms. Beatty, thank you for your service because you've been serving the district on the Historic Preservation Review Board. Thank you for your interest and willingness to serve here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walker Davis. I have no further questions, so I'm going to wind down this hearing.
Thank you, Chairman.
Been a hearing on two measures, Bill 25-342 and PR 25-300, both concerning the Public Charter School Board. Record closes November 29th. The time right now is 12:40 p.m. and this hearing is adjourned.